Again, I think it's nice to see Bunny B still back on this race. I think this is what I wanted to see already from this roster. That's going to immediately level up this team to see that they're actually utilizing Bunny B to the best of her capabilities by playing this this Raze instead of like a Neon or a Whaley.
Bunny B got a ton of value with the showstoppers. I did appreciate the guts at a hyperspeed to be like, let's throw our op at the big bomb and see what happens. Like nuclear bomb versus coughing baby moment. It kind of made for an exciting exchange. It's just if you miss that one shot, the showstopper is a bit harder to miss.
Yeah.
But hey, hyperspeed are very practiced on this map. They only played it, I think, less than 2 weeks ago. But it was part of that one of the map losses that they had against Alliance Angels in that closed qualifier. And hey, that was already quite the journey that hyperspeed had to get through to get to this point. And they still qualified at the end against Alliance Angels to get here. So excited to see what they've changed since then.
For sure. I think even though it was a 13-1 result that didn't go into your favor for hyperspeed, to be able to make it to the Swiss stage already is a great accomplishment and a great feat in itself, because you have to think about the amount of teams you have to play against in the open qualifiers, the amount of waves in the open qualifiers to fight through the gauntlet of the closed qualifiers. Remember the last time somebody well, unfortunately not playing in this game today, it's Luna replacing instead, but you still had to face against the Wadadaa team where you already had first-hand experience of how good this team is, and now you have to try to beat them going into the Swiss stage. The other silver lining is that it is a Swiss stage. So going 0-1, if you were to have similar results as the first map here for hyperspeed, it's still knowing, okay, the level of caliber now from even OQs to close qualifiers to now has increased dramatically, and it allows for you to be ready a little bit more, hopefully here into the next weeks of Swiss stages to try to make through the playoffs.
And that's a gorgeous map, but we were looking at it for that long because a player disconnected, so hopefully they're back in. And hey, this is also, like you mentioned, a different sort of roster from hyperspeed, at least compared to what they last played, which is always a variable. And honestly, if I had to go up against a top 3 team, I'd rather it be early in my schedule where we're still figuring things out anyway. So this is the time to experiment, in my opinion. And then hopefully this is like that sort of wake-up call where when you face the teams that you should beat, you do so cleanly. So get kind of the tough losses out of the way, because you want to build momentum from here on out.
Definitely. And also to add to Wada, it's not just the work of King Fred this time around too, but you have Lakim as the assistant coach now, and that recently joined to help out King Fred, who's been busy with school lately as well too, trying to juggle a lot of stuff to put Wadadaa back on the map here for this year. But thank you for your patience, chat. We're now in the game with Wadadaa on the attack side, and hyperspeed are looking for the info. The eye comes out towards the fountain. They're trying to punish Starbound, and he actually did.
Okay, and the headshot connects too. That's a lot of damage, and finally some punishing power into Starbound, but Bunny B isn't gonna let you run free the way that Wada kicked down the door, planted B, and wrapped around on the defense before they could even get back to their neutral positions. This is kind of awkward for hyperspeed to try and rotate back into. Wada just gonna heal themselves back up. You know, that fade was in hookah from the C's that was just thrown. Multiple angles now being pushed from hyperspeed, including Anglin towards a defensive spawn. A lot for Wadadaa to watch. Astralis wins their one. Pangolin merges with the shorty with a lot to say. Ring around the Rosie. And Astralis was already low health. You confirmed that one. Pangolin and friends. Oh, just the last one left. Power Pixelay with the Red Bull clutch to give Wadadaa the pistol.
Yeah, some small micro mistakes actually coming in from both sides. I love at least a show of hand from hyperspeed in the very beginning to pressure into Fountain. It actually catches Starbound off guard because they placed their TP in front of the boxes instead of behind, so they can't really escape. So getting full flash, you just gotta hopefully win your fight, and they didn't. And that was a great start for hyperspeed, but it allows Wadadaa to like really tempo into the site. And when you're playing a 3 versus 3, there was an opportunity here to just wait out the brim smokes and then start using utility to try to flood against Wadadaa. But throwing that C's a little bit too early when you can't commit and convert with it because there's a smoke covering you. You don't really know who you sees in the first place, so you're still playing lack of information on your retake. So I feel like they should have been a little bit more patient for hyperspeed to hold on to that util going back into the 3v3 retake to work that in tandem with the players that are around. So Wadadaa, another big pistol round, and now you have a Starbound on the outlaw.
Starbound's like, try that again. Try that again. I got 2 bullets in the chamber. 2 people pushed me last time. Catch it. Catch this bullet right now. And Starbound just creeping ever so close, always wanting to set up a fight with the flash on the other side of 10. And oh, you already heard that, Outlaw. So I think Runecrest isn't going anywhere too far. Second flash now from Wadadaa. They've now decided and committed into a Lover Girl. Headshot from Buddy B. Just wanted to molly, just wanted to buy time. And Wadadaa, they're not paid by the hour. They got some rounds to win, and they're on the anti-eco, and they're in full control. 3 versus 5 now for Hyperspeed to take over.
That's the issue of playing a little bit more passively, but we'll hold that thought for a bit. There's an attempt to retake, but also maybe now to die to Spike. So now I could talk over it, but I feel like maybe Bunny B, all we did hit was walk contact here towards that short side, and maybe they overheard a lot of jump spawning in the back of the APC, in back of the truck on that A site. So it was easy for Bunny B now to just crosshair placement, place it on top of it, and just punish anybody trying to jump over it. And I think that was Lover Girl, if not mistaken, right? So we tried to go for the combination of the Molly and the C's, and even that didn't do enough pressure here for Hyperspeed to fight back. It is an eco no matter what though, so you're trying to do whatever you can, but it's still a clean take by Wadadaa. Nice 6th sense by Starbound too, realizing that they're about to get pressured potentially here by Runecrest with the Bucky over at Long B, so they gave up that space and allowed Wadadaa to just get that plan on A.
It's the punishing power of Wadadaa's next level. You could try to bring speed, even hyper speed. That doesn't work. You could just try to jump over a box for half a second, and Buddy B will still headshot you. Like, this team is relentless. Even with the good ideas, it doesn't matter how good you think. If you can't shoot better than Wadadaa. Now, with the rifles, this was a really close round when Hyperspeed had bought up. This is how they could try to deny the bonus. Pangolin with the up. Hello. Now back into heaven. And Wadadaa, that's a threat that they have to think about.
That's actually very nice by Pangolin. You talked about it here, Lemon Kiwi, an agent that Pangolin likes to play. So utilizing, countering the Viper Orb thrown by Pyrapixel A to use that as their own screen and obstacle to get the first pick was huge. But missing that second one gives a gap right now for Wadadaa to take, especially now with the cabbages coming out on the attack because of how much we farmed here for Astralis.
Yeah, I didn't love re-peeking, but also just shooting through the smoke blind. Like, that's a gamble for sure. And I think once that other shot came out from Pangolin, Wadadaa were like, okay, there's still an op in heaven, and then they were able to down that. But hey, we got a fast and loose Neon with a judge, and something to say to this Wadadaa team. Respect that distance away from the judge. Starbound takes care of business as usual. Always has the element of surprise. No one's watching this. Oh, Juna almost exposed the rifle and now knows that U-Haul has not been watched. She gets caught with Molly in hand. And now there's just no time for Always. At least the Molly was a sacrificial utility to confirm the round. Yeah. And Always is just going to try and take people with them. But Wadadaa 3-0, convert the bonus.
Ain't gonna happen when Starbound got the Headhunter like that too. And I feel like maybe the flashes, again, I'm talking about utility usage that could benefit each other too. I think Runecrest went out to try to break that trademark. Or at least util over on that A side before the flash even came out, so they were heavily exposed and always can get the flash value from the back of spawn. And even as you're mentioning here, Living Kiwi, when they're trying to spray back within that deep smoke being thrown by Juna, you're giving not only your position away, but also you're not waiting for your team as well to try to isolate the fights on your retake, because already you already kind of know that the round or the site has already been given up. You got a perfect first opener by Pangolin. You already TP'd back towards that spawn. You know the execution's coming in with the Seekers, but your flasher for Always was still flashing for info towards that B-side line. So you got to wait for your team. You got to wait for Runecrest. Give that value as well with the judge. So at that point, you could work better as a team to try to go for these fights, because again, they look like they're able to shoot a lot better in these last couple of rounds for Hyperspeed versus Fracture. And now if you add that component of that, the fundamentals of swinging with each other with good util, I think they could look like they could have a much better defensive side than what we're currently seeing.
And I think not only did Wadadaa keep the Outlaw, but I believe they stole Pangolin's op, which was dropped in heaven when they went down, possibly. But so that's just now 2 snipers in Wadada's favor. So if Starbound keeps getting challenged, well, guess what? They brought friends. They brought the whole crew in hyperspeed. At least they get info off that flash, as you pointed out. Something it always likes to throw out. Wadadaa gonna match fire with fire, though. Boombot and flash. As Wadadaa want to still scale up carefully going into B-Long.
Yeah, and even if the dog is making noise that they're scaling up on that side, you don't see the full reaction from hyperspeed. They're expecting and hoping and crossing their fingers that it's a 3-2 split so they can high-low these buckies against them. But that flash confirming contact in that spot, and they're like, okay, well, this type of buy with this type of scenario here for hyperspeed where they should be buying shotguns in this round, let's give up that space.
Oh, ruined Crest. That's a huge shutdown. That could have ruined everything, but also could have started something beautiful for Wadadaa if they had an opening at A. Now, they're gonna be committed. The Prowler's on the chase. And how is Bunny B alive? That is the power of friendship right there. But hyperspeed coming through hookah. The longer you wait, oh, now you're paranoid about the flank. Now it's all about timing. The smoke dissipates. Juna's gonna confirm that, and hyperspeed are gonna get crunched from all sides, from close to far away. Wadadaa will keep on keeping on.
Yeah. And it was just reaction by Wadadaa too, right? So if you flash into hookah and you've heard no footsteps, no reaction yet from that side, you know they're probably playing crossfire setup, or at least one person inside hookah with a shotgun. Then you see the double push, even if PowerPixel lost their lives towards that A side short. Okay, let's account for it. That's 1 on hookah at the least. 2 towards short. What do we have now on B site then? Maximum 1 or 2 players. So let's try to create that space. Even if you don't have the exact util yet to help Bunny B to entry, just her moving in with the satchels gets good info for the rest of Wadadaa to move in as a team. So great timing, great utilization, and now a fight here towards long B.
Hey, I think this is for all the Aura marbles. For the vibes too. Oh, the elbow. The elbow, oh my god, but it's Wadadaa. It's Starbound that got clipped, and all hell breaks loose on the site, closing the door on the hookah entry. That Wadadaa thought that was the timing to jump in while that chamber was preoccupied. Wadadaa don't have a lot of people left to secure things, and it makes it so you're not very safe to go for a spike plant, but crossing the road here with spike would be insane. And PowerPixel, the silence is almost deafening. It is very scary to be alone here.
They almost overextended towards that spawn side, but knowing that they have spike would be good. Again, veterancy of this duo squad, and playing with each other for the longest of times in the GC scene. All of them trying to fire on both of them, rather, trying to find hero plays this time in the poke time.
Starbound wants to keep their distance, but now can't really help out the duo that was left in front of Tins. So a huge round for hyperspeed. They'll get the op back, or I guess they'll keep it. Maybe if they want a second one, a shinier one even. I don't know if that one worked well, but hyperspeed got a flawless out of that. Like, that was ironclad defense.
Agreed. And that, I think, is what was discussed here during the timeout for hyperspeed, because if you're looking at it, play your numbers, right? You saw that Lovergirl was about to move in towards that B site. Pangolin probably says, look, I still have the angle. I'm low HP. Let's just bait my life if we're trying to push forward. And I missed a shot. So you see them pulling back here towards that spawn site. And also to support RuneQuest, if we actually did have a rotate back from Wadadaa towards the A side. So play your numbers. Once the spike plant went down, well grouped up, beautiful flash from Always. And then it allows for you to really get that round here for that retake for hyperspeed. Great first openers once again. And now getting first blood and able to convert that is a great stepping stone to build that confidence to fight back against Wadadaa here.
This is going to be a tougher site to op, so I'd like Wadadaa just trying to explode into B while also seeing what PowerPixel does on the lurk, who wants to maybe take a better look at showers. That's how they got kind of surprised last time. Hyperspeed playing a much more conservative defense. See, and Wadadaa are right at the front door of B. Looking to flash in off Astralis' call. You also have the orbital strike from Juna, but it's the showstopper that has been stopped by Pangolin. First blood for hyperspeed, and hello, unfriendly neighbors. PowerPixel with a huge cutoff, and we're left with a 3. Ooh, Now a 3 versus 2. Hyperspeed get control of the situation, and they need to stabilize, and it's hard when you hit shots like that from Starbound. Hit down by the dog, and Starbound is the top dog in the top chamber in the lobby, just off of that 1v1. Always 1 versus 2. This is a tough one to try and break out of. Your crosshair is going to get messed up as soon as you jump out. I like the effort off the flash, though.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that chat probably is going to say, you know, what is that flash that started off there from the side of Always that just went into the wall of Hookah? You have to understand here that they were trying to flash out so that Pangolin gets a line, but Pangolin already jumped out on the ledge of the window to try to challenge Starbound. So if you actually did pop that flash towards that front side, you would have blinded your teammate and you would have lost that fight and lost the space no matter what. So they let that pop from behind. You're hoping that Pangolin is able to win that 1v1 against Starbound, as they've always been really good in these shots so far in this second map. But unfortunately, it's Starbound that came back with a better answer this time around. I feel like we lost a little bit of coordination when we TP'd across against the lurk of Power Pixel on Sands. And now with this ulti, look at that. All of the Seekers already went behind them. They know that there's nobody playing inside B site. Free space for them to take. Should be an easy plant now.
Smokes in place, and you have an orbital strike, and you have Hyperspit, and you have everything. Okay, let's let loose with the orbital strike right into the teleporter. Right in front of it, and Hyperspeed. Oh, they're getting crossed up amongst the smoke. And now the Seekers from the defense overwhelmed Wada. Had them hesitate. You get caught flat-footed. This is a big retake from Hyperspeed. They got the Prowlers. They got everything. Luna tries to give them information to control the chaos. Oh, Pangolin. That was hilarious. And Wadadaa did not find that very funny. This is now the second successful retake from Hyperspeed.
Yeah, a little bit of a mispositioning, I would like to say, even the pit. Because you planted the spike, the pit is outside of the radius of where the Viper's pit is at. And then also the players that are playing inside the pit can't really support Starbound, and Starbound can't support the team because if a Brim Smoke goes down towards that B main side, you just saw it, there's really zero space for Wadadaa to really activate and hold this spike. So as you're playing into now the unknown for the side of Wadadaa, you saw that Hyperspeed were able to easily move into the site, have a lot of ruckus, a lot of pressure from the Neon ult, from the Odin, from the shotgun sprays. Everything was working out in their favor because of that off positioning. So a nice way for Hyperspeed to punish that mistake here from Wadada's setup. And to score now 2 rounds, that's already doubling what we had on the first map. Great confidence to get built up here on Bind.
No more 100% post plan for Wadadaa. Is this a new era? Like, this is an exciting game. But that was a huge investment for Wadadaa, so that big silver lining for Hyperspeed. Try to remove those win conditions, and hey, the win condition, their name is Pangolin. Another first blood with the off the chamber to finally rival Starbound. Well, Wadadaa, well, those 2 successful retakes from Hyperspeed did come from a B site post play from Wadadaa. Nightfall from the defense. He got the pings, but she didn't have eyes in the sky. Bunny Bee gets traded, but man, looked cool doing it at least. Wadadaa wanted to follow through with that. They're getting their steps in when it comes to getting into the side. And oh, just the peek through the smoke, always. We'll beat Astralis down, and Starbound is the last one left. So this has been a very difficult B site for Wadadaa to get through. Now, 3 failed attempts.
And again, got to play as a team. Pretty much at this point with the spike being down and Starbound with the off. And the flash confirming that they're scaling up here on the site. Just got to play some good angles here. First contact down. Still need their trade.
Oh.
Nice try, but still a great round by Hyperspeed. That said, we were mentioning before going into this game, there's going to be a lot of 3-1-1s to try to just activate Bunny Bee a little bit more. But instead of being, well, I mean, they mix it up. Sometimes it's Starbound that's with the duo. Sometimes it's Juna. This time it's Starbound just to try to open things up. And I think right now, Hyperspeed are kind of realizing that. And all these openers and the defaults have really been leading a lot towards this B side too. So what they can do now is try to turtle up a little bit more towards that B side, play the war of attrition with utility and information gathering that they get. And when you think here for Wadadaa's side that you're pulling out rotates, the lurks are starting to activate on those solo lanes, and Pangolin doesn't need to rotate and is getting a lot of these punishes. So I think now the conversation has to come through for Wadadaa to stir up the pot a little bit more and not be so readable currently. And I want to stand corrected, by the way, when I was talking about the assistant coach, it's actually pronounced Lukim. So big shout out to Coach Kip and to Aura to help me correct that in terms of pronunciation of the assistant coach to help out Coach Fred going into this timeout for Wadadaa. So again, we just mentioned the win con that we currently see here for Hyperspeed. You talked about the op here for Pangolin, Lemon Kiwi, so we have to try to or avoid that or punish it or be assertive of what we're trying to do here in our openers and maybe be a little bit more fast tempoed. And it might be fast tempoed the name of the game. Looking at them leaning towards this A side now and looking to instantly punish this showers control.
We go.
And there's two people on, this is an important round because two people from Wada have bought down to 0 credits. And you're still investing into this op, and this is an important part. Pangolin, ooh, you can't miss those. Now you give up showers. Wada want to follow through, absorb all of that space. The chamber is left behind, but the jig is up and Hyperspeed know what's coming. And Wada not going for B this time. Wanting to see they'll have more success on that side, but not having the element of surprise and punishing that chamber does hurt Wadada's chances.
Yep. And it's sort of similar looks, except the side of Bind has been switched, right? They get the pressure. Now, oh, Starbound almost got that pick. So they actually did force these rotates. They damaged 2 players so far. Just cannot convert on kills. Unfortunately, look at the HP of RuneQuest, Luna, and Always as we finally get the heal up. But this allows now Wadadaa the tempo into the site.
Oh, what a nade from Bunny B! Okay, won't be flying through the sky, but we'll have a safer approach to this. Oh, jiggling. It's the last lap against Always. Throw the orbital strike from Lovergirl. You'll try to stop them, but Wadadaa will not let go. They are strangling this defense. Dog out, and this was a 4v5 push from Wadadaa. Just really trying to be more measured on their approaches, not going in too aggressively, but really trying to leverage their utility better. Now Hyperspeed sit on the other side of the smoke. Molly to force some movement. Juna will have to reposition. You still have the op in a hookah. And wait a minute, Hyperspeed are taking advantage of this Molly really splitting up the LOS of Wadadaa. 2 versus 2 on the post plant. You just gotta let the clock run down. Astralis can only do so much. Bunny B is the last saving grace for Wadadaa. Now someone's on the spike, and I don't know how much they could see. And oh, the op from Pangolin confirms 3 that round. That is the win condition for Hyperspeed.
Don't know what happened there on that 1 versus 2. Why first Hyperspeed were jumping inside hookah instead of trying to have someone tap spike. That was a great opener, an opportunity for Bunny B to clutch it, but she wasn't ready, I guess, with her judge to think that she was going to be able to do some punishments, so she never really shot. That was the last point I wanted to actually talk about. It was everything else before that. Everything worked out in terms of how Wadadaa worked that map on the after the timeout. They were able to punish 3 players off position, but just couldn't confirm on kills. But then when it came down to holding down on the post plant, Juna had a beautiful first kill to trade out to make it a 3 versus 3. But then the second overpeak, that I didn't like that. So that gave a chance for Hyperspeed to move back to the site to go for a plant. Or to go for a piece, rather.
Random Molly kill, by the way, and Wadadaa, they got something off the flash from Astralis, and as they walked in, they just get burned. Such a strange approach.
Probably a miscomm too, because I would assume here that Astralis is probably dogging and then got hit by a molly, and nobody called it for her to get off the info dog.
Sacrificial dog, and hey, you trade Wadadaa. They know how to play at these deficits, but do they know how to watch the flank? Because dogging on up as always, and Hyperspeed can crunch from multiple angles. Starbound though, you got him angry. The Ruin Crest watches from above. He can get so much information, but Power Pixelay won't let that fly by. Not on their watch. There's a very far back plant, but kind of exposed.
Oh my God.
Can't dance away from the bullets. 2 versus 2. There's been a 3-round win streak for Hyperspeed, and this is for the tie. Heard that last flash from Always, stomping on in. needing to round out to try and get on this spike. Wadadaa, they'll take shelter in the U-Haul. It's a very dangerous place, but I know what will do the job. A good old Bucky played. Oh, the shotgun. 2 HP for Pangolin. Wadadaa. The nest has been shaken. The wasps will be coming out. Hyperspeed taking the seconds to heal. And Pangolin, oh, is just on watch and confirms both. But wait, is there time? By 2 seconds, Hyperspeed will tie.
Dude, that was beautiful for Hyperspeed too. A lower buy that you had from Wadadaa, but it really came down to catching players off position. First RuneQuest onto the bench. Yeah, they got the first pick, got traded out, but I think what really made the cards topple was the plant position once again from Wadadaa. This is now twice, one outside of the Viper's Pit. This time when you have a player advantage, you kind of plant it outside in the open, thinking that you had free reign, that both players were probably rotating and flanking back from short A side, because I think they were both spotted too on top of that. But you to see that always went. Okay, we'll hold that thought. Actually, we're fighting aggro this round.
Oh, well, you traded
Yep.
worth, but Hyperspeed, they retaliate. They had a win in showers, and now you got the spike drop. This is disastrous, and this is Hyperspeed getting full value out of a chamber on defense, especially one with an op. But as I say that, I cast her Blessed Starbound, I guess, gets their sweet revenge, walks into B, and always, what? How? Juna's the GOAT. That's all I gotta say.
I thought she was dead instantly there because she was running with knife out and somehow still won that won that duel. So it's actually very doable right now. There's no flash to really move forward. Thankfully, we have still a wall for RuneQuest.
Oh my God, Starbound has been flooring this Neon. Something about a speedy agent takes care of business. So does Juna. That engagement through hookah was a huge point of success for Wadadaa to get back into the driver's seat.
Yeah, just unfortunate for RuneQuest trying to throw the wall up, but I think because they were inside that smoke, they couldn't really line it up to have the safe walls to come out. That had 0 value when they tried to jump out, and it was an easy kill for Starbound. But all of those micro mistakes that I was mentioning for Wadadaa on that previous round now finally falls back in the hands of Hyperspeed, giving a chance for Wadadaa to maintain the lead and close out the half in a strong position here. And this could have been probably a lead for Hyperspeed with how things went in the past couple of rounds.
You got Seekers and Orbital Strike. You have all the tools in the shed. It's just how sharp are they? And Wadadaa, and like that they're reinforcing their lurks, having more of a team split. See if they can get some picks going in their favor, because I'm going to be looking forward to seeing these stats from Hyperspeed. There has been so many defensive first bloods from Hyperspeed that ease the job, but now when you have Boombot through showers, you have an exchange of the op, you force Pangolin out. What does Wadadaa want to do from here on out?
It's kind of nice too. You're probably questioning why Bunnybee would be the one grabbing the orb in the last round, but she did an excellent orb denial. RuneQuest was trying to move towards that side to pick that up. Seekers gets the early info, but already Wadadaa was already set up to work towards the same site.
All right, you know, Seekers, there's still one on the other side. Oh, and what a read from Power Pixelay. Confirms the kill. This was the version of Wadadaa we thought we were going to see more of. This has been such an amazing challenge from Hyperspeed. Their defense has looked really strong. An Orbital Strike! Oh, doesn't clip the wings of Pangolin and punishes Astralis. And if the Gunny would have gotten up quicker, I think there could have been more kills for Starbound there, but Wadadaa will go into the second half 7-5.
Yeah, a great start, at least, though, for Hyperspeed. Maybe not even start. I'd like to say even turnaround. Because remember, this was a 13-1 scoreline on the first map for Fracture in favor of Wadadaa, and they already opened up by winning bonus on the second map as well. You're trailing behind 0-4, but you still were able to end it 5-7. So you'll take that, but take it with a grain of salt. This is where it's going to be difficult still for Hyperspeed to get activated here on their attack side. With as much as an obstacle that Wadadaa had to walk into and run into in their attack side, they have similar type of util and even op power in the roster that Hyperspeed will probably run into and encounter some tough fights as well. They gotta be cooking here.
Yeah, especially when you have double controllers that you have to face on defense versus the single. This is a more defensive comp from Wadadaa. And it's kind of the race to who's going to buy op first, or even just the anti-eco get the outlaw going, depending on how the credits look. So this first pistol round is everything for Hyperspeed. Try and get ahead of this game. And I think just how good they looked in the first half. This is a whole different team, a whole different situation, as Hyperspeed are kind of sending it as a unit. They don't have that stray lurk on the other side of the map because they're not running a Viper, and maybe Pangolin would be that person, but
yeah, and everybody's just wall contacting so far for Hyper. But that flash is going to confirm now at that minute mark that there is going to be a lot of pressure on this B side. Starbound's already ready for it.
the death ball. Oh, the speed. Oh, micro check. And Hyperspeed work their way in, working their magic. Pangolin with another first blood. Defense or offense does make it work, but Wadadaa, they have their backs against the wall. They kick back in the best of ways, and this is chaos through all the smoke. So many injuries on the Hyperspeed side. 3 versus 2. Now only Rowan Crest is the one to start it, wants to be the one that ends it, but Wadadaa take every pistol of this series.
Nice to see bandits coming out too. Double bandits on that side of Wadadaa. But yeah, initial fights, that will look really good on how Hyperspeed were able to execute towards that site. The wall contact was good until the flash saw them, and they're like, okay, well, let's just use our util. And they were able to react very, very fast to actually not allow for Wadadaa to set up to hold this B site until you stayed alive long enough here for Australis into the tub, into tin, into the B site to allow the rest of Wadadaa to flood retake back, and it got a little bit iffy there from both sides in that fight.
Launching smoke.
Starbound don't care about no dog. Just wanted the owner there at the end, but Hyperspeed. Yeah. Skies are clear. They flash into U-Haul. Pangolin will notice quite a stack that's in showers. Hyperspeed will have to take note of that. They're now starting to pressure the back rooms, and Starbound turns this into the horror game. Oh my god. Wadadaa keep control. As Hyperspeed on a save still did a considerable amount of damage. They'll even get a Bucky upgrade from what was left behind, and now we're going to work their duo together. But PowerPixel is going to spot this cross. Astralis is watching heaven in case they wrap it around through spawn, and PowerPixel, oh, the chase is on.
Good enough, I guess. Love a girl though. At least we'll be able to get the plant down. That's the biggest thing for Hyperspeed, where that could have been easily denied. Again, just like the pistol round, a little bit whiffy from both sides here. PowerPixel, it's sometimes you just have opponents you're trying to shoot in the back. Not always as easy. That confirms where the last player is at, because that is a well-placed flash to clear out that whole line right from the tube, right? So you look at the horizontal line, could be Radiant box, could be in the cubby, could be inside tin, but that is 100% confirmation that the line is easier to cover, when you're retaking that site. So very nice for Wadadaa. They stopped the bleeding, and they're looking to convert their bonus round, where they had an easy run pretty much from that fracture till now in terms of converting their bonus rounds.
Buying up that outlaw, that's important for Starbound. Because it's Pangolin versus Starbound, and then the rest of the Valorant. But at least that's what I've been most interested in, because this has been, we don't get to see a lot of Star Chamber players in GC. Starbound has been so unique at being one of the best at it. And Pangolin, this newcomer, this challenger, is gonna try and dethrone the GOAT, but Hyperspeed, this has been a really good map for them thus far. But now they have to deny the bonus at a Hyperspeed, or out of Wadadaa, I should say.
And Outlaw is good here. Starbound has Outlaw versus 3 half shields. And when they break this trademark into hookah, you see that there's not too much activation from the rest of the map, because they're all grouped up on this side. You could probably expect, if not re-clearing as a group here towards this A site, that this is going to be a late hit towards B. So the more you wait this time around here for Wadadaa, the more that the posted Outlaw will be a great position for them.
Yeah, Joe. What was that? Must have been the wind. But I respect Hyperspeed not wanting to come out of hookah, especially against double controllers. Like, jumping out of that is always going to cook your aim, and there's so many little nooks and crannies in B to jump out of. So you really need to hit B from all sides, it feels like. And very much a death bally team, and Hyperspeed are gonna try to death ball through showers, and you just heard a shotgun at the front door. You seized it, and now it gets even closer to you. Power Pixelale gets Luna down to 7 HP, and you don't. Oh, you do have Always, who's healing back up. Starbound with just the classic now with Outlaw. Oh my god, even without aiming in. So gross. A 4K for the chamber.
How does Starbound do that? Because for me, when I have the Outlaw and I'm trying to shoot a haunt no scope, I'm just whipping, and then the coach stack just laughs at me because they're like, dude, you know it's not accurate when you're not scoping with the Outlaw. But I guess because of the range and how close Luna was, it becomes a superb shot by Starbound. But as you mentioned, a death ball from Hyperspeed, I wish I saw that actually on the B side open. When you're expecting or trying to find where the Opera could be, where this sniper could be, maybe try to have that extra second or third person with you, so that if you have to give your life away, at least a second or third person that swings at full health armor can maybe survive one shot and trade that out.
Oh. Bunny Bee goes fishing, gets a huge catch. Double kill through showers, spamming. One just kind of lands in their lap. You love to see it. Hyperspeed. This was already a tough round, just based on the buys. You're able to close the gap and try to see if the Stingers could have impact at that range, but trying to reach Wadadaa on defense it has been the difficulty of this round. Now Wadadaa double their score.
Last player standing.
Even past double digits and really close it out. Like I said, this is going to be a very tough second half for Hyperspeed to play against the firepower that you have here from Wadadaa. So, or it's now what they were doing well in my eyes, despite, you know, losing 4 rounds in a row, was getting hookah control and breaking the trademark. But you just saw what happened a couple of rounds ago. When they did that, there was zero reaction from the side of Wadadaa. They need now to probably spread themselves out a little bit more so that they could maybe identify where that op could be. Kind of like what Wadadaa was doing in their 3-1-1 setups, where it looked like Pangolin was really farming in those kills, but that, even with a sacrificial kill on the side of Wadadaa, gave themselves a better read onto how they could really hit sites and avoid the op in the first place and really just crowd the site in numbers.
And going into the second half, like Pangolin and Starbound were about 16 kills each, give or take. Not super accurate there, but now Starbound's at 22, which already tells me that Starbound is a type of chamber that you can
GG.
get a... That one is GG, but 2, I mean, now they're pissed, and now they're playing even better. But also, this is a type of chamber that can do well on offense and defense, because a lot of the chambers, sometimes you just have that strong defensive side, and then...
It's over, yeah.
No one feeds
off.
the beast, you know? Yeah, you fall off, and Starbound is really stepping up to kind of help Wadadaa get back into this game, because it was only 7-5 going into the second half.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's cool things that we're seeing from Wadadaa in the 3-1-1 setups, that it's not always just Starbound lurking with Power Pixel A. Sometimes Starbound is with that duo, so that they are that secondary trade factor for the one creating space like Bunny Bee. That said, now, after this timeout, it is definitely, you can see this buy out from the attack side, and we're actually pulling out an attack side up. And this is very similar pastures to see, like, for example, going towards that shower side to fight against Cryo in the VCTs. They're trying to at least to control those sides and those extremities, and it works out.
Starbound teleporting there, I was like, was that a trust issue? I felt like you had you kind of took the Prowler just so to bait for your teammates, and it's like, you know what? Never mind. I'm a stat patter here. But 5v4, Hyperspeed is a very familiar situation with the Seekers. They kind of guide you towards where these final targets are. And oh, Starbound, such a good anchor for the defense. Always good for one. Hyperspeed, yeah, are good for this plan as well. There's only 1 target left. And there we go. Hyperspeed are not done yet post timeout.
All you had to do was wait that smoke. Juno overextended to try to move into the showers, potentially pick up an orb or denied something, and getting closer to the ult, gets punished right away by the op. That forces now the hand of Wadadaa to react a little bit more. And what great timings to use these ults for the side of Hyperspeed, because the Seekers even saw where the Showstopper was at. The Showstopper got 0 value. And then you knew where the weak side was towards the end there for Hyperspeed when Juno already fell in the first place towards Shower. So great way to dissect that map on their slow default for that round around the op. But that's already a tell now from this timeout. that Hyperspeed are going to play a little bit slower because of this op. So now here's the other read. What they're going to try to do this time around too. Now they're going to try to push out and try to find some information.
Starbound don't even need information. Just hit those and leave. Pangolin, it's one of their own too, though, and it's on the right side of the map. So does that inspire Hyperspeed to change plans? You know what? I've kind of brought a stack to showers, so there's always more around the corner. But they're going to re-hit B. Doesn't matter what the lurk created. The Seekers, too, from Astralis. They know what is up, and now the clock is ticking because Wada rotating in. Hyperspeed need to get a plant going while they have their smoke still up.
Starbound's still going to shut down every single lane too. That's going to force the TP from Hyperspeed back onto the A site. I'll take a second to say this is how you know you have a good Opper and a good chamber player in Starbound when that just happened for the first blood. I'll talk about it in a second now because Hyperspeed are planning towards the A site. They're trying to play this post plant, but we have this lurk from PowerPixel as well. Everybody's injured so far from Wadadaa.
And you just can't make noise if you're PowerPixel. So it's going to take some time, but he shut down the op of Pangolin. That's huge. And Wadadaa, they're closing in. Hyperspeed, they only have a small amount of space. They're going to buy some more with the orbital strike. And it's just done like that in the blink of an eye. Wadadaa will get to match point, series point.
Yeah, and let's talk about what makes a good offer and why Starbound is so good on this agent as well. When you're a one-trick pony and you're excellent at an agent, it's just like Extra, for example, with Yoru, with so many changes until now. You've seen such good plays coming out from Extra, who's like the specialist there. This time here for Starbound, a flash comes out. You're trying to fake flash so that RuneQuest could actually swing out and try to go for a pick, thinking that the Opera would probably swing away and turn away from the flash. What you can do now for Starbound is you realize if I'm going to get hit by a fault line, if a Prowler is coming against me, if a flash is coming against me, I'm only going to TP if that activates. So they just look down that line, they get that pick, they get the kill, then they TP. So that's one of the small things that makes Starbound so good here on this very agent, and such a pain point to play against when you're on the attack side. So at this point, you just have to make sure you commit to that flash, get him off that line, give yourself the line of sight and space for the team. Exactly like that.
Once this Nightfall gets into position, all hell will break loose, but kind of some chaos on the right side of the map, and PowerPixel is just going to give them a safe space to hide behind with the Viper's Pit right through A short, but Hyperspeed are breaking in through showers. June is going to call that out with the one-way smoke. I like that out of PowerPixel, and this is why controllers are so strong on this map. It's so tough to break through for the attackers.
Good thing, though, it's at least a 4 versus 4. Hyperspeed with one committed inside that pit. They do have an opener that they commit with towards the shower side. If you're looking at it from this mini map, there's really only that pressure coming out from Juna. They could actually trade her out and get a plant if they want to.
Face your
They just want to make
fears.
sure here that they utilize the retail. There you go.
I don't know if that Nightfall reached the people in U-Haul and within the Viper's Pit, so Wada have something to hide behind, but not if Pangolin enters with a Bucky and ends it all. Hyperspeed playing for their series lives here in 12 seconds left. Astralis can try and prevent it. No. Trying to take this 1v1 against the Neon. Starbound is always adding to this equation, subtracting players from Hyperspeed. It's a 2 versus 2. Pangolin lurking about was the one that ended the pit, but Wadadaa, they have to retake at this point. Try to defuse the spike, and Luna's watching over, and still a good crosshair adjustment from Astralis in that moment. Someone's on the spike. Pangolin has to answer the call. The team depends on it. No, it's Wadadaa that defuse and take the series in 2.
Defenders win.